BBL Supercoach is a very, very different game to the NRL that a lot of these people play that are watching this channel. So what we need to look at here is the fixtures, and that's really changes things in terms of the strategy that you're going to use. So a lot of time, if you're looking at the beginning of an NRL season, everyone plays each round, right? There might be a team with a bye, but there's no teams to have doubles and the like here. So what you need to be looking at for the most part in NRL is just based on where you can get the points, where you can get the value, right? So making that cash generation and getting those points on a week-to-week basis. But the big thing here, and I think there's a small change, is obviously a little bit less on the value focus and building that team value, and more on just getting those fixtures right each and every week. So in the Big Bash this time, there's only 9 rounds. So with that shortened season, you can really map out exactly how you want things to look with setting up your team and how that's going to go across the season. Really targeting the teams that are on a double week each and every round is going to be really important for you to do super well in this Big Bash Supercoach season. So if you're looking at that round 1, obviously the Heat have the 3, and there's also 5 other teams that have that, 4 other teams that have the double there. So super important round, obviously, but for the most part, many people are going to score pretty well in that round. It just depends how many extra Heat players you end up with, because I think the majority of people will end up with most of their team as doubles and then have some in the triple round. You do need to project out and really look forward to the rest of the season though if you want to do well, and kind of project what trades you're going to make and which teams of those trades are going to be made from. So heading into the second round, we have the Stars that have that bye, and we have Adelaide who have the double there in that second one. So is a question mark, do you have 1 or 2 Adelaide players in your team coming into round 1, or do you just look to bring in 3? Do you look to bring in 2? Up to you based on how you want to play this and how many Adelaide players you want on your side heading into round 2, because in round 3 they do have the bye. So as I said, projecting and forecasting forward as to how you want this to look and how many involvements you have, score involvements that is, being that if you just had everyone that played a single game, that would have 11 players in there, plus your captain's 12. So as many times as you can get doubles in there is going to be really important, because that brings up your average for each of your players, which again, across the season here is what it's going to matter. What's really going to matter with there's 9 rounds in this tournament. So let's look into my little spreadsheet I've got here as to those numbers. And what you've got there, as I said, is that in round 2 and then round 3, you've got the Stars on the double. So they're a really important team at the beginning here, given they have the double in round 1, the double in round 3, and in round 5 as well. So you need to look to potentially have a couple of Stars in your team for round 1, use them as some loopers in round 2, and then really adding 2 to 3 extra in round 3 there, and potentially another 1 or 2 in round 5 before they do have their buy in 6. So it could be an interesting time in round 6 to potentially use a boost. And so what I've done with this in my team now is I've actually extrapolated that out a little bit and kind of done a little bit of a mock-up as to how my season may look going forward. And that's just a little snippet here of potentially the amount of people I'll start with. On the left-hand side there being the amount that'll be in my starting team. And then on the right-hand side, so the slash with the next number there, is the guys that are on my bench and from what team. So in round 1 there, looking to have a couple of strikers stashed away, to then be able to add 3 in round 2 to be able to have 5 on the double, which is going to be pretty cool. So, and I've kind of got a general idea of the teams that I'd like to trade out, and then we'll work out the players as that comes along and how much cash we need for each of those trades and the like there. My round 1 team does have Jai Richardson in it, and the theory with that is to potentially, to trade him out in after his first round double, to then get to Matt Short, who's on the second round double, and likely is going to be our captaincy option in that one, obviously. So there needs to be a little bit of strategy on how you're going to do that, or you're leaving a fair bit of cash in the bank to be able to trade from there, because looking at in this here, Heat players aren't so important after round 1 until round 7 when they have a double, but so do the Scorchers and the Hurricanes. So they're not super important to have. So looking after round 1 with their triple, I'm looking to trade a couple of those guys out, keeping 2 in there. The trade 1 will be Jai Richardson in that one. So With that one, the Heat guys become less relevant. We don't really need them as much for their single games. They obviously have a bye in round 3 as well. We need to look out for that. So yeah, that's a super important team to try and remove a couple of players there. So that's what I'm doing in round 2. And then obviously you're heading into round 3. Those strikers no longer become super important, given they have the bye in round 3 and no doubles again until round 6. So I am removing 3 of those strikers in that round 3 to pick up 3 more stars, which gives me some more players on the double in round 3. Round 4, I'm thinking of potentially using my boost to get as many Thunder players as I can, and then I'll be removing Thunder players in that next round. So again, when they become important, you're getting them in. When they're less important, you're getting rid of most of them, and maybe you keep the, might have to be the cheaper guy, it might be the mid-range guy, or it might be the expensive guy that you want to use for that next round. In other examples here, like the Renegades in round 3, you might want to keep one of those guys that you think is going to score really well, or they're in form, they're making money, something like that. In that next round, you might want to keep them for that round and then trade them out later. There could be guys that also stay in your team longer term. As I said, you might keep one from certain teams, but you might also want to use that cash that they have. There might be a 180k guy, and you want to trade them for a guy that has a double who also has 180k, and you can really get extreme value out of that trade. Rather than having just the one score at 50 average, you get the 100 average from the other guy that you've traded to, which is obviously a no-brainer in this game. Going on from there, we make some further boosts in round 6 when we're removing some of our stars that we've loaded up on coming into their third double. We're removing some of them and only keeping a couple just because we have to. And then round 7, I'm actually going to trade them out from then on just because we don't need them anymore, given they just play one game each of the last 3 rounds. Whereas the other teams here that have doubles in round 7, obviously round 8 there's none, and then round 9 we have a double for Thunder. So looking in round 8 and 9 to load up on as many Thunder guys as we can. Obviously we don't want to load up on too many guys if they aren't performing. So if Thunder are really struggling, then maybe only having sort of 5 or 6 in that last round might be enough, rather than having sort of 7 or 8 or something like that. Almost a full team, because that could be counterproductive, even though they have the double in that one. So one thing you want to look at is those score involvements, guys. So 216 there is, including the including captains there that you could potentially do, and what my little game there of extrapolating out ends up with me having about 185 involvements, and that's pending injuries, that's pending other potential trades we might need to make just to get extra guys in the park. There's a few different things that could come up, but that's kind of the goal. Somewhere around that 180, 185, I think is going to be pretty good. Let me know if you're going to have a try at doing this yourself. And I found it really interesting to go through that and just kind of give me now, rather than doing it in the real busy period through December and then January, when we're seeing family, we're busy, there's a lot going on, to have all this kind of ready and a general idea of what I need to do. So then when the next round comes in, you can just go, yep, this is kind of the general plan, and we change things just slightly around that. So pretty interesting, I think, as to how this goes. And I think I found this really helpful to set up for the beginning of the season here. And it didn't take too long, a couple of hours there just to sort out. If you're interested in it, obviously, if you're not too keen on it, then you can have a little look at this. But just looking at the next few fixtures, if you can just have that and kind of got a general idea, then I think you'll be okay as well. But to win the comp, this is what you have to do, I believe, in this one. So I hope that helped, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. We're getting very close to the start of the season.